Hi guys, welcome to this issue of iDrum magazine. My name is Pat Garvey. We're going to look at some more groove ideas today, but we're going to look at it with a view to practice and just having a bit of fun within the boundaries of a kind of practice routine or schedule, if you like. This rhythm, it really comes in kind of from two kind of parts or two ways. The first is it's something that I used to love years ago, an old jungle groove, the snare drum rhythm. And a few months ago I did a session and I was given a snare drum rhythm to play, and it had a lot of similarities in its accents and its phrasing. It was a 4-bar rhythm for an advert, and it kind of reawoke this whole thing, and I thought I'd bring the two together really, and give us a chance to talk about rudiments a little bit as well, and getting creative with them. The first thing to introduce is this bad boy here. This is a Dynasty marching shorty snare. It's what I do all my snare drum practice on, recording with it and performing as well. You'll hear what it sounds like, but the reason I'm using it is because this was what it made me think of all this stuff again. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our snare rhythm up and running. Okay, now if you download your notation, you'll see the first thing that you've got there is the rhythm. Okay, now I'm going to play that rhythm. It's a 4-bar loop. There's no sticking boundaries or limitations or specific sticking. So the first thing to do, as far as I'm concerned, is to get the rhythm up and running for yourself, okay? Because then once you've got the rhythm, then we can start talking about what to do with it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the click on. I'm going to put the click on 70 BPM, and I'm going to play the rhythm as you've got it there. Okay, I'll just play it around a few times. Here's our snare rhythm. Now, I'll play it again. This time I'll give you a 4 count at the top. Okay, try and keep the quarter note as I move through it. 2, 3, 4. You need to make sure when you're practicing the rhythm that you're controlling your strokes, okay? Because if you're starting from up here, then by the time we try to do anything with this, you're just going to be in trouble, and you're going to have to go back, and again you're going to have to just, you'll just be papering over cracks. So it's a really good idea. Go back, work on things like your tap stroke, and really controlling every stroke so that you know what you're doing each and every time you hit the drum to get the rhythm up and running. It will give you a much better understanding, A, of what you're doing, but then B, how you can actually then go on and use the rhythm in the way that we're going to kind of move on towards. Now, the next step with this, okay, is to add accents to it. Again, we're still not talking any specific sticking, okay? We're just adding a bit of colour, if you like, to our rhythm, okay? I'll put the click on again. This time I'll add quite specific accents. Two, 3, 4. Now, what that gives us is it gives the rhythm a bit of colour. and it starts to create quite obvious phrasing. Once you've listened to it round a few times, you can always rewind this video and listen to that and listen to it again. It's important it makes sense though, either by ear, preferably with the notation that you've got, okay? I'm pointing at my notation, by the way, with the notation you've got, because then it will all make sense. The next thing to do is our non-accented notes, we're now going to play as ghost notes, okay? This means we're going to move the whole pattern to our left hand, right? So the right hand has now got nothing to do with this, but the whole pattern is now moving to our left hand. I'll put the click on and I'll play it round a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, once you've got that kind of going round, it will start to take shape. It's almost mantra-like. You just need to keep doing it over and over and over until it's just going, going, going. You don't need to look, you don't need to think about anything. It's just happening, second nature, before we can then do what we do next with our single-handed version of it, the left hand. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of just leave that marinating, if you like. Let the juices kind of sink in, right? And we're going to just put it off to one side. And now I'm going to bring in the aspect of this that's kind of brought it back to my attention. And this was, this is this kind of snare rhythm thing. And all it's doing is we're filling in all the 16th notes within our rhythm and adding a few rudiments, mainly flammed rudiments, the odd kind of roll rudiment, five stroke predominantly. And we're turning it into more of a snare rhythm. And this is what I was talking about that I had to record for something. And it kind of brought it all back up. You'll hear the accent pattern and actually how it shifts is very, very, very similar. So I'll put the click on, 70 BPM again. And I'll play the more kind of snare rhythm based version of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can hear the similarities in there. It's playing a lot more around a lot more with different kind of phrasing of some rudiments and that kind of thing. But you get the gist and you can hear the whole kind of thing going off in there, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to take that idea and we're going to put it on this snare drum, okay, my normal kit snare drum, and then we're going to build on it from there. So let's give this a bash. So we've got all those kind of ideas. Adding the feet is a bit of extra independence exercise and adds a bit more colour and gives the kind of feel of real grounding. Now, at this point, we're going to go back to our left hand, okay? So we're going to get that left hand back from where we've left it marinating, so to speak, okay? And pull it back onto this snare. So now we've got this again, okay? I'll just play it round. And what we're going to do is we're just going to add the right hand to this pattern, okay? Which will suddenly bring it alive. Something you hear a lot in early jungle stuff, okay? So if we add our right hand to this, just on the 8th notes, we've now got something very different, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. If we put those two ideas together, okay, so I'm just going to now play between the ride and the snare drum what I was actually just playing on the snare drum with regard to augmenting our rhythm goes. So if I take this kind of approach, right? Starts to create some quite nice and quite interesting rhythms. Now what I'm going to do is, just to sign off with this, I'm just going to, basically on camera, I'm going to do what I do in practice. So I'm going to just start building it and I'm going to have fun with it. It might go wrong. It hopefully won't. If it does, that's what practice is for, right? So the click's on 90 BPM. Okay, it's a nice workable tempo for a lot of kind of rudiment ideas and also the groove. So what I'm going to do is I'll start off with the rhythm on here. I'll add left foot, right foot, build it up for a bit, then I'll drop it down to our pattern and build things back up again. So it gives you a good idea of just kind of how to mess around with things and have fun. So there you have it. In essence, it's quite a simple idea, and it's just something that I use as a method just to practice stuff against, and really just to have fun with against. It's not something that if I sit down and I'm on my own and I'm just practicing, it's not that kind of focused practice where, you know, the phone's off and there's no emails coming through and there's nothing's in your head apart from what you're trying to do. It's just sitting down and just playing and having fun with stuff, messing around with dynamics, trying different phrases out. You get the idea. I hope you got something from this. I'll see you next month. Have a good month. See you then.